Okay, let's dive into something I know you've heard before, probably. This is I think the longest running television show in the history of television, I believe. Let's just hear it really quick, and then we're gonna dissect it a little bit. The Simpsons. Here we have the sheet music for it. Now, first of all, the way I found the sheet music, this is an arrangement that someone did of it. I just went on the MuseScore website and searched for the Simpsons theme, and I pulled this up. So I'll give you this file in the next segment, so you can pick through it if you like. I'll give it to you both as a MuseScore and as a PDF if you want to play with it. Okay, so when you've heard this theme, you've heard this music, maybe you've heard it and you've always kind of thought, there's something about that just feels off. There's something kind of eerie and not eerie. Eerie is the wrong word, but there's something weird about that. Like, it's not just in C major. I'm trying to translate that feeling you've had. You've had this feeling of maybe it's been completely unconscious, but there's something kind of weird about that theme. And now the words we can use is it's not just in C major. It's actually using a mode. Let's figure out which one. So here's my arrangement. I really want to focus first just on the main melody. So let's hear it from the beginning until we get that main melody. Okay, now this music was written by a composer named Danny Elfman. If you look up a lot of Danny Elfman's music, you'll find that he really likes modes. He does a lot of this really kind of quirky feeling stuff. And he uses different modes, but a lot of the same few that get that kind of quirky sound. So let's look at what we got. So here's our main melody. Okay, so how do we figure out what we're doing here? First of all, we can scan it really quick and see that there is an accidental here, so he's not completely in a key. He's outside of some major or minor key. So let's look at our key signature, which is right here. There is none, which means we are either in C major or A minor. The first note of our melody is a C, so it's a good indication that we're in a major key of C major. So let's run on that for a minute. So if we're in C major, this is going to be the first scale degree. E is going to be our third scale degree. F would be our fourth scale degree, but he's got an F sharp here, so he's raised the fourth scale degree. Then we have A, which would be the sixth, G, which would be the fifth. Now, this is another good point that shows us that we're probably in C major. He has the first note of the melody on the tonic, on the first scale degree, and then our next major downbeat, the beginning of the next bar, is on the fifth. You kind of, sometimes, not always, but you kind of put the first and the fifth as like pillars of the melody. So in significant places. So that's another good indication that we're in the key of C. So let's keep going. So that's the fifth, that's the third again, that's the tonic again, the 1, down to the sixth, and then down to another F sharp. That's a raised 4 again, same note, octave lower. And then back to the 5. So, easy enough. What mode is that? What mode is a major scale with a raised 4 scale degree? That would be the Lydian mode. So this is using a lot of Lydian mode. Now, like I said before, he could go in and out of the Lydian mode. What I think he actually does here is mostly stay in Lydian, but he changes keys on us a few times. So for example, so he's starting on different notes here. He's got it arranged a little bit differently here, but it's still probably Lydian if we analyzed it, where this is going to be our raised 4, this is going to be our 5. So if this is our 5, our tonic is probably F sharp, which would make sense. So we could go all the way through this, and I think we'd find a lot of Lydian, but a couple different key changes. Let's hear just the arrangement that this person did. This first 4 bars is kind of weird. So let's just start right here. Okay, fun, right? I want to do one more experiment here. Just out of curiosity, what would happen if we took all the Fs in this first passage and made them natural? Right? Like, let's take it out of Lydian, and let's see how different it sounds. Let's put this in the key of just plain old C major. Okay, I changed all the F sharps to F naturals. Now, where I think what's going to happen is we're going to lose a lot of that quirkiness in it. So let's check it out. All right, let's hear that melody one more time. Let's maybe hear just the melody. Right? It's a lot more plain, kind of. It's still happy. It's like a kind of happy, energetic melody, but without those F sharps, you don't get that just real quirkiness in there. So, interesting experiment, I guess we could do with something like this. So when you hear music by Danny Elfman, think about modes. Think about that quirky thing that you're hearing that he does all the time, and think about if it might fit into a mode that you know. He writes the music for a lot of the movies by Tim Burton. So if you look up that director, pretty much most movies with Johnny Depp in it, the music is by Danny Elfman. Anything that's like really kind of quirky. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about some Gregorian chant quickly and see what we think.